Hello and happy birthday, Pisces. So good to have you here today. I am going to do your astrological wheel slash tarot reading for your birthday solar return year. So it's going to be good for this year, from this birthday to next birthday. Okay, so a lot of the themes that we'll talk about, perhaps you won't see them or it won't resonate right away, but let's just wait for the year to unfold and see if any of these themes come up. Okay, so the way this works, by the way, I have already pre-shuffled everything. And the way this will work is I will explain what each house of the zodiac astrological wheel, what the themes are, and in relationship with the card that you get in that particular theme, okay? It'll make sense as we go along. Just a quick pause here to remind you, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate you for doing that. And also, if you like the content afterwards, please like it, like literally like it, thumbs up it, and leave a comment. Alrighty then. Okay, Pisces, let's get started with your reading. And we're going to begin with the first house. All right, so the first house is about the impression we make on others. So our first impression, it's our physicality, it's our literal body, where we move it and what we do with it. It's the first impression that that others have of us. Many times it can give us some indication of, physically what we look like, our mannerisms or whatnot. But basically what it is, it's our outlook. It's how we defend ourselves physically. And it's also, basically the general outlook that we have in our lives. So for you, let's see what you got there in the first house. Okay, so you got the Hangman and you got Daughter of Cups. So again, remember, we're talking about your solar return year. So it's from the beginning of this birthday through next birthday, okay? And what this tells me is that there's a little bit of, it's almost like you're taking a moment to really reassess your entire life here. And it's interesting because the way I have it set up, I literally have a wheel, right, for every position of the house. And you'll see a picture of it on the thumbnail, actually. But the way she's facing the wheel. So it's almost as if she's taking a pause. So you may be taking a pause and reassessing every intricate part of your life. And you may be kind of in this hangman position of either by your own accord, taking a different perspective to things, or hopefully not, but it could be a situation where you're forced to see things a little bit differently, okay, this coming year. The Hangman for me, I feel, is a very spiritual card. You see how the light, she's upside down. And by the way, this is not a gender-specific read. I just wanted to remind you all of that. You see this light here in her crown chakra, even though she's upside down, it's still illuminating her crown chakra. So it's almost as, have you ever done that position where you put up your feet on the wall to get the blood flow going? Or for any of you who get headaches, and that always works magic, right? So this is very similar. It's almost like having put yourself in a different position that requires you to look at different perspectives has opened you up in a way, like literally and metaphorically, getting the blood flowing in a way that you haven't in a while, and therefore really activating that crown chakra, activating your mind, and activating your logic and the way that your perspective about things, right? Because there's a shift here happening. And this could have been caused, by the way, by a person or a water sign or a creative project. This could be what's inspiring you to take a different approach as to how you do life. And it's opening you up so beautifully. And it's really mainly opening up it's opening everything. You see that beautiful flexibility and ability in that body, but it's really about free flowing with your mind, body, and soul is what this is. And the Daughter of Cups here, there's something creative that you've gotten your hands into, or something new that you are exploring that's really inspiring. Some of you are learning something new that's creative, or perhaps it's something you already do, some kind of method that you're using that's different now in your craft. It could be artistic, it can be something to do with your body, what have you, but something about it is creative, or something about it fulfills you emotionally, or there's a hope that something about it will fulfill you emotionally. And so that's already a big bang to start off with, Pisces. So that's pretty freaking cool, actually. I almost cursed there, but I didn't. I watched myself. Okay. So, and again, I'll be taking a picture of this wheel and setting it up for you. All right, and the next house is the second house. And the second house is about our self-worth, our value system, our resources, like the resources that you yourself as an individual accumulate, and the resources that you yourself have with your own might, your own energy, your own effort, and whatnot. The crux of it, though, is our self-worth and value. So, you know, we can kind of get an idea of how you are going to be feeling in that department in terms of the money that you are accumulating. This can also be investments. It can also be the things you collect, like watches or purses or artwork, if you collect any of that. But basically, it's just the main theme for this house is our self-worth and value. And you got the Seven of Pentacles and the Empress. Oh my gosh, you got great cards here. Okay, so I'll explain what this means. Yes. And it makes sense coming out of this energy where you are reassessing, right? Because the Seven of Pentacles is about looking at our investments, literally looking at the outcome or the relationship, cause of and effect of our investments, right? Like reaping what we sow kind of thing, and really assessing its worth and assessing its growth. And here you are reevaluating your own worth, and you are rediscovering your value here. So there's something about this energy in the first house that's setting the tone for everything, that's got you really looking at yourself, and maybe for the first time allowing you to really see the beautiful energy that you actually possess, and which here it's the Empress. And the Empress is about beauty, it's about love, it's about harmony, it's about flowing with your own nature, your own true ability of who you are. And the Empress and the Seven of Pentacles, by the way, in the second house, these are beautiful cards to get, because what the Empress tells me, well, first of all, this combination together, the Seven of Cups and the Empress, is about fine-tuning your relationship with your own self-worth through self-care, and really seeing yourself as the Empress, regardless of gender. Doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, they. It's about seeing yourself as worthy, because that's what the Empress is. The Empress knows her worth and her value. She doesn't make demands on how she's going to be treated. She just is, and she is treated well because of it. Okay, so this is beautiful. You're learning that you need to take care of yourself to see results, right? And we'll come back, by the way. I'm doing a quick review now, but in a little bit, we'll come back and we'll put it all together. But this is a lot, Pisces. It's almost like you're getting to know yourself all over again, or something has either been removed from your life or added onto your life that's allowing you to see yourself differently than ever before. So that's quite beautiful. All right, so the third house. We're moving on to the third house. The third house is basically our everyday, day-to-day stuff that we do. Like the people that we run into on our way to the coffee shop, our barista at our favorite coffee shop, the neighbors, our siblings. It's also the house of communication, so our daily communication. It's also the house of our education, lower level education, like the 101s or the basics of things and whatnot. And also a local transportation, so like maybe short travel kind of thing. Okay, so let's see what you have here. Okay, so there is something new, completely new. You're starting from scratch. Perhaps what I'm getting is this could be your neighborhood, by the way, because that's another thing the third house represents. It's our everyday neighborhood. By the way, I apologize about that squeaky vent. It is windy here, and that vent goes wild in the kitchen while I'm recording. So it's just going to be part of the reading. So there you go. Anyhow, yes, we heard you. Okay, so with the Fool, what it tells me is that you may have, there's a new landscape here for you, literally like a new environment that's causing you the Five of Swords energy. This could be a little stressful. Sometimes this can bring a little bit of conflict with other people. So maybe you're, for whatever reason, you're in a new environment. It could be a new place of work. It can be a new place of living. It can mean new neighbors, perhaps, that you have now, or new communication of some sort that's being asked of you that's different from your everyday life that you're used to. And it's causing you stress here. There's a little bit of stress here. There's a little bit of potential conflict, okay? And it doesn't have to be like an overbearing or horrible conflict. It could just simply be that maybe the neighbors are noisy and it's starting to cause you some stress, or you have a new coworker that's it just, you know how when we get so set in our ways and we have our routine and we have, you're used to taking a specific route to your favorite coffee shop, but now there's a detour because there's some construction or what have you. So there seems to be some interruption here in the third house matters that I mentioned earlier. That's got you feeling kind of a little out of sorts, like a newbie, because you have the Fool. Sort of a little like, oh, what do I do with this? Paired with some complexity or a bit of inner turmoil, conflict, if you will. Yeah, okay. So let's see how this unfolds. Okay, so then we have the fourth house. And the fourth house is about our home. It's about what makes us feel safe. It's about, it represents the nurturing parent. So it can be your mother. In other cases, it can be your father. Depends on your own household, your family dynamic, however you grew up. The fourth house literally, though, can mean the home that we live in. What makes us feel safe in our home. The people we live in, what we do in our home and the day-to-day. You got Ace of Cups, which is lovely because it tells me that potentially you could be attracting new love into your space, or new creativity that is filling up your space. Like you're busy doing whatever it is that you love in your space. It can also be updating your space. It can be making some improvements that make you feel emotionally fulfilled. It can also be moving to a new location or moving in with someone who is a new love, because Ace of Cups, after all, can represent new love, right? Now, I don't know what you're up to, Pisces, but this is paired with the Devil. And the Devil, well, the Devil can mean quite a few things. Number one, it can represent a Capricorn. So you could be moving in with the Capricorn. There could be some Capricornian connection here with it. Also, though, on a very positive note, it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is all about stability and deep roots. So you could literally be getting into new roots or a stable situation here, right? That's potential. Now, on the flip side of that, the other side of that coin, is that you could be dealing with some bit of obsession, maybe some, addictions or issues to do with maybe drinking a little too much, or whatever it is that you perhaps have had trouble saying no to, like some kind of temptation. And now remember, we're speaking of the fourth house, these are things that can come up in the home environment, right? So it's going to play out differently for all of you, depending on what's going on with you. But let's see. Let's keep unfolding this and see where we go with it. All right. And then we have the fifth house. And the fifth house is about creativity. It's about leisure and love. And for those of you who have children, this would cover, the theme of your children. It's the business you own. It's basically whatever it is that you create from your own ability, from like zero, from scratch, from nothing. And now it's it's out in the world, so to speak. It's also your ability to shine. It's where we go and we shine, right? It's the fifth house is ruled by Leo, so a lot of that energy is in there, right? Ruled by the sun. Okay, and it seems here that there is some, again, we have the Daughter of Wands here paired with the Hermit. So this is beautiful because, first of all, the Wands can represent our inner raw energy, or it does represent that. Spirituality as well. You see how she's holding down, there's that light, right? Representing spirituality and raw energy. And she's kind of a newbie at this, you know, she's the Daughter of Wands. So she's like learning how to dance with this wand and learning how to allow herself to be herself, okay? And then you have that paired with the Hermit. But see, there's that similarity in the light there. So there's something here in the aspect of creativity that is really having you go inward, or because of, as a result of going inward to do like a deep dive to discover who it is you truly are, you're being presented here now with the Daughter of Wands energy, which is a very beautiful, vibrant, curious card or energy. And so what I'm seeing here is this very natural and beautiful progression of, it's like you woke up one day, Pisces, and some creative thing came to you, or a love, or a beautiful new home, or something that just inspired you. And literally from the first house all the way through the fifth house, it's got you changing up. And it's got you changing up inside out, it seems like. And so you're probably already noticing. Now, I know those of you, I think I'm recording this early birthday season for you. But some of you may have already started to feel this energy. You may have already started to turn that, because we can typically start feeling our solar return energy about a month before our actual birthday or something like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that if you are not there yet, just know that this energy is very promising, and it's already knocking at your door here, Pisces. Okay, so now we move on to the seventh house, and this is most people's favorite house because this is the relationship house. So I know, Pisces, that you love the seventh house because you love relationship. Well, that's such a generality, right? But in general, yeah, you would prefer to be in a relationship. In general, again, I just thought of a few Pisces, actually a couple who wouldn't say that, wouldn't agree with that, but you know, you got my drift there. Okay, so, oh my gosh, okay, what are you up to? Okay, so first, let me just talk a little bit about the seventh house. The seventh house is about romantic relationships, a little different from the fifth house. I failed to mention the fifth house is also, actually, you know what? I am so sorry. I completely skipped here. I skipped to the seventh house. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go to the sixth house. I apologize. Okay, let's take that back. So first, following the fifth house, I did fail to mention that the fifth house is all about romance, okay? Also, creativity, all those other things we talked about. And the seventh house is about relationships, but we're not at the seventh house yet. We are at the sixth house. And the sixth house is about our routine. It's about the service that we give to others. It's about our day-to-day work that we do, our job that we go to. It's also our health and the routines that we incorporate to have a better health, right? That kind of thing. Basically, your daily rituals, your habits, all of that. And you have amazing, and that's why I got excited, because I thought it was the seventh house, but we'll see what you have there. But in the sixth house, this is still good, maybe even better, because what it shows is a vibrant energy. And in the house of health, these are great cards to get in the house of health, right? And so the Eight of Wands, again, there is something being awakened here that it's not just external. It's not just the face that you put out in the world. It's an inner knowing. It's an energy that's really got your body, literally your Kundalini energy moving and waking up. And this is vitality also. So for those of you who had some health issues, this is good news. This is also about, though, if we wanted to look at it in terms of a little advice or warning, it's also about if there are any medical issues or any medical or sensibilities that you notice in your body that are different, it's about moving forward quickly in getting diagnosed, basically. However, this is a very positive card. It's about vitality. It's about energy. It's about full force forward. It's a yes card, okay? So if you had a question there in the 6th house, the themes that we talked about, work, routine, physical habits, all of that, this is a yes. Now, you have it paired with the 3 of Wands, which is another success card. And it's about moving forward. Again, it's another yes card. It's about moving forward with the plan. It's about taking all this energy that you built up from the hangman of wondering and thinking and assessing to moving forward with it. So in the themes of the 6th house, again, let me repeat, it's your health, it's your work, the place that you actually go to work, the place that you work, not your career, but your daily work. Health, exercise, all of those things. Also, your balance, like your physical balance, but also your mental balance. So this is something to take into account here. This is really great energy anywhere. Anywhere it would have fallen, I would have been super excited for you, but this is really great. The pairing is amazing. Remember, we're also pulling from 2 different decks, and when you get double whammy confirmation from 2 different decks, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? All right, Pisces, let's move on now officially to your 7th house. Oh my goodness. What are you up to? Okay, so I'm actually glad you got this in the 7th house and not the other 2 cards I got, because you got the Knight of Cups. You got the Knight of Cups. So the charmer, the pursuer, the person, the knight that's going to come, bring you love. So this is the energy of new love coming in. And then you got the Diviner of Coins. So this is the Queen of Pentacles traditionally paired with the Knight of Cups. So this is some kind of movement forward happening in the topic of love, but with stability. There's something to do with work here. There's some stability. Now, a couple of things this can be. The 7th house includes not just your potential relationship that you can have with someone romantically, it also can represent your business partners, like any partnerships that you have with someone else that requires trust, that requires, simpatico, that good energy feeling, that all lives in the 7th house. And you have 2 magnificent cards for either case. So if it is that this is representing your business partners, let's say, for example, that you've gone into business for something creative, because the Knight of Cups doesn't necessarily have to only be, relationship or emotional love commitment or anything like that. It can also mean just emotional fulfillment, and that can come in all sorts of forms, right? That can come through love. It can come through the work you're doing, but also, and most predominantly, it comes from creativity. So whether it's a creative project that you're partnering up here with other people to make it happen for the purposes of making money or whatever, it's very, very good because it has roots. If this is an actual relationship for you, or actually the potential for those of you who are looking for love or who are interested in meeting new people, this is a great indication that this is a good year for that. So, I mean, yeah. And you're doing so much work on yourself, Pisces. Like, there's a lot of inner work and reflection that you're doing here. Also, not just spiritually, not just inner work, also externally. A lot of you really working on your physicality here, and you're really working on expressing your inner creative as well. So this is beautiful. And usually that happens because some kind of painful breakthrough has taken place or did take place in the past to push this type of transformation, because that's what this is. This is a transformation. This is not small. These are not small, delicate, wimpy cards. Well, no card in tarot is, but this is a very strong read so far. So a lot of you are going through some major changes. Now, Let's move on to the 8th house. And the 8th house is the house of shared resources. So remember, the 2nd house, we talked about investments, resources, or self-worth. That was for our own primary resources that we earn, that we make on our own. Now, the 8th house represents the money that we make from other people. Also, the money that is controlled, if you will, by other people, like, for example, loans, insurance, inheritance, that kind of thing. It's also the house that represents our sexuality. So it's ruled by, it's Scorpio house ruled by Mars traditionally. So it's a house of a lot of energy, but it predominantly tells us about the shared resources with others. And that can be, for example, if you have business partnerships that you're going into, this is something that you'd want to look into and see, right? Like if you are going after investors for a business or a project or whatnot, this is an area that we'd want to look at. I mean, yeah, so basically lots of options in terms of shared resources. You're going to come across many opportunities to do many different things. This is the 7 of Cups here. Okay, so there's an indication here of a lot of opportunities coming up, potentially coming all at once, like a lot, all at once. And you want to be mindful when you get this card, because this card can also get things a little confusing, right? So you may have a lot of projects going on all at once. And there's a bit of an advice or forewarning here to be very mindful of how and where you're putting your energy, and that's really where you want to put your energy into. And also that not all cups are created equal here, right? There are some cups that are half full, some that are maybe empty, and some that may have some stuff in there that we just don't want to pick up and look at. So this is just a bit of an indication to really, what I would say with this card is, whatever projects or business ventures you're going into, or whatever situation you're into where you are relying from other people's resources, to be very diligent with contracts, be very thorough. And I know, Pisces, sometimes you could be very, very trusting in terms of if you're going into business with friends, which is wonderful. It's beautiful. And it doesn't mean that a friend or someone you trust would underhandedly or purposefully do something. This is more about being aware, because people make mistakes. So even your best intended friend who's going into business with you, putting the contract together, may have missed something. So that's just one little aside note. That's very specific, so that's only for a handful of you. But in general, just be mindful of the choices you're making and the options in front of you. Make sure that you are being honest with yourself about what's really in the cup, because the outside of that cup might look shiny and pretty and, ooh, let's do this. Really be honest with yourself, Pisces, about whether or not some of these ventures or some of these cups are really worth your while. Okay, now it's paired with the wheel. Okay, so what this tells me, a couple of things. There's some fated partnerships or resources, outside resources that you don't see coming, that are fated, that are coming your way, which is very, very positive. But this is also the card about trusting that those resources are coming and not getting in the way too much to the point where you don't allow the wheel of fate to do its job, to do its thing. Now, I know I said here, be very mindful. That doesn't take away from this. Still be very mindful while not getting in the way of natural process or like the expertise of others. If others know what they're doing, then we let them be. Still checking the contracts though, but you trust that things are unfolding as they should. The wheel also can represent that there are things or opportunities in the themes of that house that I mentioned that are yet to be seen, that are on their way. And usually it's positive news for the most part. Okay, so that's the 8th house. You have such a good read. Okay, Now we're going to the ninth house. The ninth house is the house of higher learning. It's the higher level education. So for some of us, it's a master's, doctorate, also the esoteric, learning the higher learnings of esoteric work. It's also where we go to teach. It's our mastership. It's where we've taught something in the third house or learned something in the third house, become masters of it, and now we're in the ninth house teaching it to others and allowing others to grow. It's also foreigners. It's also foreign lands. It's about travel. It's about other languages, learning other languages, meeting people from other parts of the world and, you know, playing with them and communing with others. Okay, let's see what you got there. You know, just a couple of things in the ninth house, not a big deal. Okay, where are you off to? Where are you going? Looks like you're traveling somewhere. Okay. So you've got some hard work. So some of you are working hard and mastering something. You're working hard here. You're teaching something. You're working hard and some higher level learning. Potentially you're working hard to travel. Now, this is the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Wands is usually about burden. It's usually about heavy load, but it's at the end of carrying the heavy load, right? And you have this paired with the Eight of Coins or Eight of Pentacles, which is double whammy of hard work here, or carrying a bit of a burden or having to endure something here. However, the Eight of Coins is very auspicious in the sense that if you work hard, it promises good results. And the Ten of Wands, a couple of things I see here. Number one, some of you are literally working hard to move away. Literally pack your bags. You see, like that gal, she's got her bags packed and moving away from something potentially arduous and stressful. So there could be a situation here that you've dealt with, and it could involve foreign land. It could involve citizenship. It could involve something to do with the learning or the teachings that you're doing that's felt a bit arduous, but you're at the end of it, and the results of it are about to pay dividends, right? That could be literally or metaphorically or spiritually. Basically, it's going to bring you something positive here in the area of the ninth house themes. So keep working. For those of you who are tired, for those of you who will hit that, because you are going to hit a point where you are tired, but it doesn't feel like the tired where you're not enjoying it. It's almost like you love what you're doing so much in that area of the ninth house themes that you'll keep working hard. You have no problem doing that because you're enjoying the process of it. Okay, now we go to the 10th house, and the 10th house is our career, it's our calling, it's also our social standing. So it's how we show up socially in the world, right? Due to our career, or how we show up with our, whatever our destiny is, if you will. Oh my goodness, really, Pisces? You are in some sacred, yummy journey. Now, hold on, let me see something here. Okay, so you did get the Fool. Yes, you got the Fool earlier in the third house. Now we're in the 10th house. You got the Fool again from the other deck, and the Moon. This is you. This represents, well, it's one of the cards that represents you, Pisces, and the High Priestess. And the Fool, I mean, but look at how gorgeous these two cards look paired together. And look at that sacred geometry there. And look at that sacred openness that she's experiencing as she lifts her amethyst up into the sky. And she's almost like getting downloads, right? Now, this is one of my favorite Fool cards of any deck. Mainly because there's this amazing, a lot of times the Fool is sort of given this reputation of like, it's kind of foolish and it's just doing it's being driven by curiosity and curiosity alone, right? But here, this is driven by deeper purpose. This starting over from scratch or starting anew or going into a new journey is based on inspiration, based on something deeper, like a deep knowledge that perhaps even you cannot fully comprehend yet because you have the Moon there. So there's still, it's like, there's somewhere in terms of, remember, we're talking about the 10th house, which is career, purpose, destiny, your social standing. So you're about to enter like a whole new realm here, Pisces, in terms of those themes. And it's not all fully revealed yet because you've got the moon here, but you're being driven by your faith, your curiosity, and your guidance, because you see she's lit up all over. She's got sacred geometry, confirming that it's destined based. There's a lot of faith in these two cards. There's a lot of belief. There's a lot of allowing yourself to be guided by your divine sacredness, your source above, you know, and that which you hold in the highest sacredness. That's what this is. A lot of this can be esoteric based. A lot of this is spirituality. So some of you may be going into a different modality in terms of your, if you're already in the career of spirituality, whether it's, or I know that sounds weird, career of spirituality, but you know what I mean? Like if you're already doing your purposeful work, meaning you're already working in that realm, whether it's career, you're getting paid for it or you're not, it doesn't matter. It's just that you're living in that presence of your purpose. If you already are doing that, this is going to amplify that and deepen it even more. But in almost like from the eyes of a beginner, from the eyes of a child, almost from the eyes of innocence, it's going to take on a different, perhaps you're learning new modalities that you haven't done before. For others of you who haven't yet fully entered this realm, you're about to go where it comes to spirituality, esoteric. Now, I just want to, I always say this in readings, when I say spirituality, I'm not speaking dogma, I'm not speaking religion, although that for some of you, that may be the case, and that's fine. But that's not what this is about. This is about spirituality in whatever form that takes for you. Okay. Let's see. Now we move on to the 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of friendships. It's the house of our community. It's our networks. It's the people that, you know, like our acquaintances, our people that we hang out with and have fun. It's not necessarily deep-rooted relationships, but they are supportive relationships. Let's see what we have there. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay. Oh, this is very, very beautiful. So there's an element here. You're entering into some kind of association with either someone or a group of people. You see the Two of Wands that will create this association is going to create an inspiration for you to plan for the future. Now, the 11th house is also ruled by Aquarius. Okay, and Aquarius is all about future planning, movement forward, onward and upward type of energy. And the Two of Wands is about planning for the future, planning big for the future. It's not necessarily where we start collecting the coin or the accolades yet, or the spiritual reverence yet, but it is where we plan out what we want, where we write up our intentions, right? And the 11th house is also traditionally known as the house of hopes and wishes. So there's something here that you have going on with an association, new network, new group of people that you're hanging out with or you're doing some kind of project with that has got you planning big. It's got you realizing, and it's in your Kundalini energy. It's in that raw, vibrant, again, creative energy. And there's a feeling here of familiarity, or almost like an energy that's reminding you of the past, those nostalgic, beautiful moments, the beautiful memories of your childhood or your earlier life that you hold sacred and dear. There's something about this connection that's opening that up again. It can also mean that someone from the past, like an old childhood friend, resurfaces and you have this new commitment or goal with. Or it can also be a creative from the past that's been familiar, that's been with you for a while now, that you've been carrying through in your heart, and that makes you feel like home. And now you're starting to weave in the plan to make it happen. This is beautiful. Pisces, you have an incredible solar return year coming. Again, that vent, I know it keeps going. Okay, so this is the last house of the zodiac wheel. This is the 12th house that we're finishing off with. And the 12th house is an interesting house, because it's the end of the cycle of the zodiac wheel, but it's also the beginning of the next zodiac wheel, right? So meaning it's the beginning and the end and the end and the beginning, right? And it's also the house of mysticism. It's the house of our psychic abilities, our intuition. It's like another underworld house here. It's ruled by Pisces. So this is your natural habitat. This is the house that you feel that's most comfortable to Pisces. It's dreamy. It's about, it's literal dreams that we have when we sleep. It does represent sleep as well, but it's also the dreaming that we do, like the fairy tales and the stories, the fiction that we write, and the hopes and dreams that we hold sacred within ourselves, right? There's so much more. By the way, just real quick, every house has much deeper meanings. Like I can spend a long time talking about each house, its associations to other things and signs and yada yada. And each card also has layers and layers of potentially layers of themes. So I'm giving you kind of like the most popular general themes, but no, like when it comes, because we're pairing astrology and tarot here in this process that I'm doing for your birthday reading, right? And both astrology and tarot can go so deep and can go on for days. Like we can spend days just on one house and talking about it. We can spend days on one card and talking about it. So just remember, if you are curious even deeper of each house, what it means, I will be having like a 101 here on what each house represents I'll have a separate YouTube video on that. But in the meantime, if you want to research the houses we talked about and pair them with the cards that you got for those themes, please do so, because it's never ending, these lovely tools of astrology and tarot. So just take that into consideration, that this is not the end all be all. Of course not. There's so much more, but it's still pretty thorough enough where it should give you some idea of where it all lands, right? Okay. So the 12th house. Oh my gosh. Okay. You just have had so many amazing cards. Okay. So you got the Lovers. So you may be hooking up with somebody. Oh, also the 12th house can represent like overseas, traveling overseas. A little different from the 9th house. The 9th house is also the same. But my reason for saying that is that you could be communicating with someone overseas, potentially a new love. But also, if it's not that, it could just be that you're spending a lot of isolated alone time, because the 12th house can also be isolated, with a new lover or a new connection, somebody really interesting to you that you're just dreaming up about. And even if you can't be close to that person, because sometimes the 12th house can mean a little bit of separation. So even if you're physically distant from that person, there is still an indication here of connection, because you have the Six of Pentacles, which is about balance. It's about reciprocity. It's also making sure that we're balancing any areas of imbalance, right? And you have it here with the Lovers. Lovers can also be about two opposing options too, or making a decision or choosing, which, for some of you, this is going to play out so this is how I'm picking this up. It's going to play out one of two ways here. Either this is saying that in the themes of the 12th house, there is some balance that needs to take place here. So perhaps maybe you're working on a dream book or a poetry book, or also the 12th house can represent music, artistic ventures too. And perhaps there's a balancing here that's required, right? Or an energy of balancing two opposites to have the result of reciprocity. That can be one way this is read. The other way is literally new lover and figuring out, and there may be an age difference here, because sometimes when I get the Six of Pentacles, I see, because it can be a hierarchy type of situation, or someone's a bit older, younger, that kind of thing. It could be something like that. And so there's a need to balance that out. So perhaps you're older, but you balance it out by being youthful, and that person is younger, but they balance it out by being intellectual or cultured or what have you, right? So there's a need here of balancing whatever this new relationship is that you've gotten into, or whatever new venture or artistic thing that you're getting into. And yeah, I mean, but look how beautiful that Lover's card is, right? And even this Pentacles card, right? So some of you are working on that. It's also the house of, there's a lot of psychic ability in that house. So for some of you, it is about balancing your psychic abilities and figuring out how to not to overpower, right? Because you see how the moon and the sun representing the lovers here, the yin and the yang here, it's about that. It's about balance. Again, yin and yang is balance, right? Same as Six of Pentacles here. So it's also tempering, right? So for some of you, I just got this very clear hit that this is going to be for a handful of you, to really watch your psychic power. Because some of you are very, very powerful. Well, not some of you. You're all very powerful. But there are some of you who are still exploring that power. And so this is Spirit's way of reminding you to be aware and to balance those abilities for the sake of your own well-being, but also for the sake of others' well-being, okay? And also making sure that you're all in moderation, and anything outside represent, the 12th house on the shadow sign can represent addictions and whatnot, obsessions and all that kind of stuff, our self-undoing. So making sure that we're balancing, because here's the thing, you're coming into a whole new experience here of who you are. You are experiencing yourself differently. And for some of you, you know how sometimes potentially when things are so good, and if we're not used to having yummy yummies in our life, we can potentially get off kilter because we don't know. We're so used to balancing things that are not good for us. But the minute a bunch of good stuff gets thrown at us, it's almost like we don't know how to balance the good, because we potentially may not be used to that. It can be the flip also, that you're only used to getting good, and then some bad shows up and you don't know how to balance. And by bad, I don't mean like bad, but I mean just stuff that doesn't feel good, or it's not maybe what we had hoped for. Okay, so I think this is also a reminder, that last house there, that last placement, to just be mindful and to take all this, because a lot of you are going to get just a ton of amazing new experience that you've never had before. And so Spirit is just saying, it's okay not to have all the answers on how to deal with it. Just you make sure you're going inward and you're tempering yourself, balancing yourself, being gentle for yourself. Okay. And just figuring out how to soothe yourself in this transition, because this is a huge transformation. This is not little time. This is huge. There's so much here. And I'm telling you, I can keep going on for like 2 hours just on this reading, another 2 hours. And, private readings, it's easier. I can go in a bit deeper. And if you're interested in that, please reach out. I'd love to set one up with you. But that's pretty much it, Pisces. So just keep doing what you're doing. You're making a lot of other people happy here, by the way. I see that because there are others involved here. And your creativity is making other people happy. Whatever it is you're putting out there, whatever it is you're allowing yourself to express and introduce to the world, it's not just making you happy in your household. It's also waking up dormant energy in the world, in the universe, through other people. So that's huge. You are a blessing for that. Happy birthday, Pisces. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, comment, and all that good stuff. Okay. Ciao.